All right. I got more editing to do tonight, so let me begin with this. And now we can begin. Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Thursday night here for the Philly Guy Speaks. It never fails. I always leave my mic muted, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting here at 2:30 in the morning, and I am editing audio. I'm editing video. It never ends. I always show my mom's side of the family, which is the Polish side. Not saying that being Polish is a bad thing. Sometimes it comes out, even though I rant and rave about stupid people and all that. But anyways, coming up, baseball talk. Yeah, it's the off season, but some interesting things came up over the last couple of days, um, including the major league meetings being shut down. Rock and Reese, hello. Captain Ron's here as well. Welcome in as well. I hope everybody's having a great night out there. Um, we got a managerial hire yesterday. A lot of different things going on that I felt was at least worthy of a mention. And it took up most of my piece of paper here when I was coming up with my things I wanted to talk about here. Um, a a, uh, a an NFL player said that the NFL is phasing out quarterback sneaks. Now, it's more than just a tush push slash brotherly shove slash whatever you want to call it in your hometown. I'll get to that as well. Some Friday fade picks here for the weekend. And we'll see if we also have an historical line here that I'm going to tell you about when we get to that segment as well. But for those that are listening on the podcast side, why aren't you here at nofilter.net? Come on over. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:15. 9:15 through the end of the year. My hours are going to be changing at work, so that's possibly giving me flexibility. We'll see what happens with other people's shows because, I'm a team player, or at least I try to be. But, um, come on over to No Filter. It's free to sign up. It's free to join my show, even though I could charge you an arm and a leg. And, I would only have the arm and a leg of a cadaver or a mannequin from the Target down the street from me. But, it's free. Come on over. We don't bite. Ladies, unless you want me to bite, I won't bite. Anyways, so we'll get to all that here tonight. So, want to begin with a story that isn't really sports related, but kind of, sort of, because it takes place in Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you're addicted to the internet and to social media like I am, I admit it. First step is to admit you have a problem, right? Well, apparently, in its first quarter, the Las Vegas Sphere reported losses. Whoops, I don't want to share a video there. Hold on. Reported losses of $98.4 million for the fiscal quarter ending September 30th. Now, what I'm thinking here, and you can read ahead to this article and I'll hit some points on there because one of the many reasons why I was running a little late, besides eating dinner before the show, is that my printer was acting up and I had it all printed. I had it sent to my printer so I can highlight a couple points or whatever. Kind of like what I did with this article here with the Phillies. You see the yellow there. But I've seen this grow from nothingness to what it is now. Now, granted, it was just something that it was like, what's this going to be? And little by little, it took shape. And, it can creep you out at times when it has the eyeballs looking at you from whatever hotel is closest to the sphere. And it's like right beyond, it's like behind the Wynn, I believe. Um, it is something that, um, U2 has a residency there right now. And I'll tell you what, I would love to go see a concert there, just so I can get the full effect. Even if it's a band that doesn't the take full advantage of all the 21st century technology or the cutting edge technology that the Sphere has. But they still lost $98 million somehow. And the chief financial officer resigned, Gutnam Ranji, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission filing. The result was not a result of any disagreement with the company's auditors or members of any principles or practices. But it does say here that the New York Post reports Ranji suddenly quit after a bout of yelling and screaming with CEO James Dolan. And if you know that name, James Dolan, he is the owner of the New York Knicks. He had that incident with Charles Oakley. He owns the Rangers. He doesn't mess with the Rangers because they'll just go after him like Happy Gilmore with their hockey with their skate blades. Happy Gilmore. But we could attribute to a couple of different things here. It's near the Strip. It opened September 29th. And U2, like I said, has a residency, a multi-month residency. I would imagine it's $4.1 million in revenue for 2 shows, $2.6 million from suite licensing and advertising from the Sphere Exosphere. You know what? I think that it's just the Sphere opened up at a bad time fiscally, in my opinion, being those 2 concerts were right at the very end. And I mean, I wasn't keeping track of what happened were there delays? Was there this? Was there that? Because I can tell you one thing for being in Vegas, and it does get hot there. And obviously, because it's a desert, and it gets compounded with the sidewalks, the asphalt, and everything. That's why the Grand Prix that's going to be in Vegas in a couple of weeks is, I think it's going to be a night race on top of the fact it's in November. So, but I think it's an eye-popping number that the MSG, who owns the Sphere, losing $100 million. But I mean, it's an eye-popping number. But I wonder if this is something that really is something that we'll see at about February 9th, since this news came out November 9th. Maybe there's something that comes out of this, like, oh, we had more shows here, so U2 had 50 shows in this 3-month period, and we also had this concert here, and we had this event here, and it'll draw more revenue. But that was an eye-popping number that I saw this morning, and I thought I would share that with you just so that because everybody's going goo goo gaga over this, and I was wondering what they were doing there, because I was thinking, oh, it's just another new arena, because when March Madness comes around, it seems like every tourney in the West, in the western half of every Division I basketball conference in the western half of the country goes to Vegas. But it is concert specific, and Yeah, that is an eye-popping number, but just a little something to cleanse the palate away from sports and show that I'm more than just a sports guy, more than just a gambling guy, and so on and so forth. So that was a little fun, a little interesting thing I saw today that I wanted to share just because um, since I'm a guy that likes to go to Vegas a couple of times a year, even though I haven't been able to get out there the last vacation or two I've been that I've had from work, and it looks like I'm not going to go in December either, um, or in less than a month, 3 weeks. Um, but yeah, it's that was a pretty eye-popping thing that was there. So, um, but I would love to see a concert there, but I'd have to know what's there besides U2, even though I've never seen U2 in concert. But it's the concert prices. I mean, I imagine that I'm going to be paying a ton of money for it, which I don't have right now. So, but thought I'd change things up a little bit and go with a little pop culture there to start the night there. Um, so let's get to some stories here that I saw here today. And, if you want to chime in, feel free to do so. And for those that are watching after the fact, listening after the fact, because I turn this into an audio as well. If you come on over to nofilter.net, we have two options for you. There's a chat box. It's usually on the bottom of my screen when we first get started. And I usually put it to the left-hand side. And I put the roster of guests, the roster of everybody that's watching on the right-hand side while I'm hosting. And, you can chat in the chat room. And also we have this fist in there. And no, I'm not going to fist you. Not even if you want to. But that's how you become a part of the show visually and or just audio. If you're in a witness protection program and you have a voice box thing where you can conceal your voice and sound like a 1980s drive-through guy. Why are you making fun of me? I'm not making fun of you. Something like that. Whatever it is, you can just go with the voice. Even if you don't have a camera, or if you have a camera and you want to show your face on the show, you can do that as well. So that's for those that are watching after the fact. We can be very interactive, or I can give some thoughts to you guys and try to be some thought-provoking stuff, and sometimes it won't be, but sometimes be stupid stuff. But I haven't had a stupid stuff I saw segment in a long time. I need to find some stupid stories to share with you guys. But anyways, a lot of off-season baseball stuff that I saw over the last 2 days. And I don't know if these were sequential to how the news broke over the last couple of days locally here in Philadelphia. And just to let you guys know as well, it may be the Philly guy speaks. I do talk Philly sports, but I also expand outward. I'm not going to tell you just Philly sports. I mean, I may talk about it because that's one of my main passions, but I'm not afraid of going to other topics. So Howard Eskin, WIP, he reported Tuesday or Wednesday that Aaron Nola won 7 years, $210 million. I don't see that happening because Aaron Nola, I believe, is 30 years old. Let me just confirm that for you here as I talk to you here. With a guy his age, I don't see that happening. And I may not have him on this roster here. No, he's not listed, so I got to Google it. Aaron Nola is 30 years old, to be 31 on June 4th. I'm not sure I want to go 7 years, but that's just me. And I don't know who his agent is. I don't think it's Scott Boras, but I may be wrong. But that's but that would be a tough blow for the Phillies. Even though Aaron Nola did crap the bed in Game 6 of the NLCS, he came up big in the playoffs, and that would be a big loss for the Phillies. And also, Aaron Wheeler's going to be in the last year of his contract as well. So, but it's a matter of getting the right guys, and who knows, maybe you get Andrew Painter back for 2025, so that maybe he replaces Wheeler in 25, and you may get a free agent signing here. I know a lot of people want Blake Snell here in Philadelphia. I'm a little worried about him because of the fact that you do have a guy who only seems to go 5 or 6 innings. Now, I don't know, I'm tossing all those years in Tampa Bay, but he may be conditioned enough where he's only going to go 5, 6 innings because Tampa Bay was an analytic, a place for analytics. They're the main cause for all this, in my opinion, because they couldn't win spending money. So let's do something different. When the rest of baseball zigs, we're going to zag, meaning Tampa Bay. So maybe you can get them to, but the way baseball is, it's everybody pitches 6 innings anyway. If your pitch count's very low, okay, we'll give you the 7th. Or if you got a no-hitter going. So, and the other name I've heard is Sonny Gray. And I said to one guy on WIP on Twitter yesterday, and I think I got some backing on this. I feel that Sonny Gray is a small market pitcher. He bombed the Yankees with that trade deadline deal a couple years ago. He did well in Cincinnati. He did well in Minnesota. Did well in Oakland. I'm just wondering, is he the type of guy who could pitch in a big market like Philadelphia? But that's just me. I mean, the best scenario I can give to that big market fail is AJ Burnett. Remember when he went to the Yankees in the late aughts, 2009, for example? He was a dumpster fire every 5 days for the Yankees, but the Yankees still won the World Series because Charlie Manuel decided to use his brain and try to overshift when he shouldn't have in Game 4, but that's a story for another day. So, and you got all different situations here with the, with free agency here, and I haven't seen all the names here, and also it's rumored that Mike Trout wants out of Anaheim, and why not? I mean, but then again, with the managerial signing that I saw yesterday, maybe he stays, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. We'll see. But now one guy that won't be traded, I don't think, in a potential Mike Trout trade is Nick Castellanos. That came out today that he's on the trading block. And I don't know. And the reason for that is plain and simple. very streaky. And I mean, you saw the NLDS, he hit 4 or 5 home runs and hit a home run the first at bat of the NLCS against Arizona. And then he went back to being Small Dick Nick. Saying Small Dick Nick doesn't count as a curse, does it? Because if you're going to count as a curse, then 944 is your winning time of my first curse. And if we're not going to count as a curse, then you're still waiting. Because it's a little fun thing I say because of the fact that I'm trying to refrain from cursing as much as possible. But and it was the same thing over and over again. It was the same thing last year. He would be chasing that low and outside pitch every single time when it was 2 strikes. And he had a great year. 29 home runs, 106 RBIs, hit 273. But the problem is, we're beyond regular season numbers here in Philadelphia. We got a taste of playing in the World Series. We got a taste of playing in the National League Championship Series. And I don't want to see this team regress, kind of like the way the Phillies did year over year, where they went to the World Series and won, went to the World Series and lost in 09, lost in the NLCS in 10, lost in the NLDS in 12, and then totally out of the playoffs afterwards. So, but when I look at this, I mean, I could see that he would be a piece you can dangle. And you hope that this isn't such a thing where Nick Castellanos says, oh, just get me out of here. Hopefully he understands it's just part of the game. And I'm sure he does. He's been in the league enough that he was playing that, you know, managers, general managers and baseball operators, director of baseball operations, those guys will do that, you know. And also, a no trade clause doesn't mean that there's no chance of getting traded. What that means, all a no trade means is, you want to trade me? I got to prove it. Oh, you want to trade me to Oakland? No way. But in Mike Trout's case, hey, Mike, we got this trade for you from Philadelphia. We're going to get 3 or 4 top prospects. We're going to get player A, player B, and player C as well. What do you think? Because he wants to do them a solid, and he knows that he's still going to bring in top prospects. Now, I'm a little leery about getting him because he's starting to get up there in years. I mean, he's only in his early 30s, but he's been playing in the big league since he was 19. And, you know, even with Major League Baseball, you start getting injured more and more as you get older. But Castellanos has 3 years left on his contract, $60 million. In my opinion, it's not a bank-breaking contract. It's just, do they want to deal with this hot and cold streaks that he has? And you know, some of the names that were mentioned here, Teoscar Hernandez, he's a free agent, but he's got the same issues as Nick Castellanos. So I don't know. I think the Phillies have types of players they have in mind, but I don't think I think they want more consistent hitting as opposed to the streaky stuff. I think they would rather have a more consistent 280 hitter than a guy who's insanely hot and insanely cold like he is. And also, being in the playoffs the last 2 years, you want guys who are going to perform in October. And Castellanos kind of did, and then went ice cold. Can't have that. I mean, imagine Mike Schmidt. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying how Mike Schmidt, aside from 1980 in the World Series, really did not produce in the postseason. I think he hit only like 210, 220, and Bryce Harper hit about 300. Now, granted, Bryce Harper now has had more series in the postseason with the Phillies in 2 years, and Mike Schmidt had probably his whole career. But it's all about the big moment. And aside from 1980, Mike Schmidt never really performed that well in the postseason. And Bryce Harper, for the most part, has performed exceptionally well in the postseason. And, he got a taste of the World Series, even though the Phillies lost. He got a taste of being in the NLCS this past season. He wants to win. He knows it's a potential of being this close, but it could quickly go away, and that window may close on him. But either way, I get to my next point here with the Phillies. Let's get to it. Bryce Harper, it was announced yesterday, Wednesday, that he's going to be the first baseman permanently starting next year. Yeah, I'd rather see him in right field. And that was before this news for Nick Castellanos came out. So I would think that they have somebody in mind, like a Cody Bellinger, who's a free agent. I mean, I think he's played more center field than right field, but and this is why I wish Trevor Harris was here, because I saw him pop in while my countdown was on, and he disappeared on me. He might be working and just popped in to say hello or whatever, but and I'm just taking a peek at Cody Bellinger's stats here quickly. Okay, so he has played center field. It just says outfield in general. Outfield, he has played some first base. So, I mean, ideally the Phillies want Bryce Harper first base. Maybe you move Bellinger to right field if the Phillies sign him. And I'm not saying they're going to. I got to really get into who's free agent, who's not. But he has played right field for the Dodgers in the past. So, it wouldn't be like totally foreign to him to play a corner outfield position. So, there we go. So I'm looking over all this. And with Bryce Harper being the permanent first baseman next year, as of right now, and I say right now because I'll tell you what, things can change so fast, you never know. I mean, look at, for example, Rhys Hoskins, who is the odd man out as a free agent. And we don't know, and I don't know, and maybe nobody knows, was there any negotiating between his agent and the Phillies over the last few months? Because you know how a lot of players say, oh, I'm not, no, I'm not going to negotiate. Season's underway. You're not messing with my mind. Little things like that. So he's the odd man out in the infield. And, maybe I missed something. Maybe he was offered a contract and he said no. We don't know. But how things change in a moment, he goes for a blooper down the first base line, and his left knee blows up on him. Those non-contact injuries happen. I mean, they happen more in football because I had the game on over here to my right. But you do have, those things happen. And because of that, you got to see Bryce Harper become the first baseman because he offered to do the position if he thought it was okay with the team. And also this year, it was perfect for him because of the fact that he was coming back from the torn ulnar collateral ligament, the Tommy John surgery, and he did okay. I mean, I'm probably downplaying it more than what more people say, but probably with a full spring training, he can learn some of the nuances here. And who knows, maybe somebody in the minor leagues works with him as well. You know, like maybe a Derek Hall, because he's played first base in the past. You know, maybe he gives him some ins and outs, you know, like a little teamwork thing. So that's an option that I say as well. And be interesting to see. And I'm going to bring Rocket Reese in here. We'll see if it's Phillies, if it's anything else. And if you're watching, if you're listening, and Reese, I'm going to get to you. Don't worry. You know, we can play America's favorite game show. Let's derail those. But I have a feeling Rocket Reese is going to talk Phillies. And if we talk other things, we do as well. So let me bring him in here. Reese, how's it going?
It's doing good. How about you?
Doing good.
Man, a lot of stuff happening, and you know, I had to say, like, I know the Phillies want to make moves and whatnot, but yeah, these are type of moves that you gotta be really, really, really like. You've got to fine tooth comb these because
Yeah.
I remember 2000. What was it? 10 when they were starting to go down the series and go to the World Series and losing, then they lose in the NLCS.
Mm-hmm.
Then next year losing in the wild card or whatnot. I was like, yeah, the Phillies better not only carefully look at all of their options, they also have to think what prices will be right for them because if you want to try and make this another run to the NLCS and then back to the World Series, yeah, you've got to really think who can you let go first, and then who can you bring in?
Exactly.
Because you've got a pretty decent core of what you have now, but yeah, you've had some areas with, I'd say, like maybe it's starting rotation, of course, because you know you got to think, all right, do you see yourself keeping Wheels or Nola? And if you lose them, then what can you get to replace them? Them left. Yeah. Also, it wouldn't help to go after the bullpen too, because Lord knows who Ricky's that helped you. But like I said, I'm pretty sure this is not the easiest time for I would say like for anybody right now when it comes to baseball, because you've got to like make fine-tooth decisions and then hope that before March next year that these guys are going to be physically able enough to be healthy by the time regular season starts up.
Yeah. And the good thing is for the Phillies pitchers, if you think about it, even though they crap the bed in game 6 and 7 at home, they do have an extra week of off-season this year because of that loss. Now, I'm not worried about Zach Wheeler. He'll be fine. Ranger Suarez, he'll be fine. He doesn't have to worry about a World Baseball Classic this year. Who was the fourth starter? Oh, this is how I get sometimes. My brain is so fried. The fourth pitcher was, oh God, I got to look it up.
Their final roster was.
I'm just going to pull up the Philly schedule from earlier this year.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
I'm trying to do
there's Nola. There's Nola, Walker, Suarez, Strom, Soto, Sanchez. All right, let's see. Nelson, Moore, Martin, Lorenzen, Kirkring, Hoffman, Falter, Covey, right. Bellotti, Alvarado. All right, we already covered Wheels.
Oh, I know who.
Yeah.
The guy who was totally pissed off because he disappeared the whole postseason, Taiwan Walker.
Oh, it's Walker? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. But I wonder if you try to trade him too, because, it's not a good thing that you're not on your burner account, because I'm sure a lot of players have burner accounts and they like certain posts that your manager screwed up in game 6 or 7 or 7.
Man.
But,
and here's the thing, though, is like Walker's been a journeyman pitcher.
Yeah.
It's been on 5 teams now, including 2 stints with the Mariners. It's like I would actually trade him because there's a reason why he hasn't been staying with people long term.
Yeah. But he did have the most wins in his career this year, winning 15 games. I mean, in a way, wins aren't what they used to be, but I could see that. I mean, he had 2 stints in Seattle. He was with Arizona, Seattle twice, Toronto for a year, or part of a year, the Mets for 2 years, and then with the Phillies. But
yeah.
I think Dave Dombrowski does have a plan. What that plan is exactly, I don't know. Which is fine with me.
Man, how's the thing looking in the farm now?
You do have Mick Abel, I believe his name is, in the minors.
Yeah.
Andrew Painter, he's not going to be here till 25 at the earliest. Let me see here. I pulled up the top 30 prospects. You had Andrew Painter, who's not going to be ready until 25. Mick Abel is a right-handed pitcher that was in AAA this year, 6'5", 190. He's estimated to be here next year. You got Griff McGarry. He ended up at AAA. He was estimated for this year. So you got a couple of guys who could eventually take over. You also have a pitcher here who's 14th on the list here, Christian McGowan, who's at AAA, expected to be up here at 25. But Andrew Painter's 20 years old. He'll be 21 when the 25 season starts. Mick Abel is 22. Griff McGarry is 24. So you got some nice pitchers here. For example, Orion Kirkring, he wasn't projected to be with the Phillies until 2025. So he skyrocketed as well, and those things happen as well.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll have a lot of things to think about when it comes to that. But let me talk about them birds.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and matter of fact, speaking of which, before I even get to them, yeah, let me go back to the something else you talked about. Yeah. Oh, so they're trying to get rid of the quarterback sneak now these days.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, I'll bring it up now. I'll bring it up now. Now, what caught my eye is This came from Packers offensive guard John Runyon, the son of the Eagles legend.
Yep.
Played his high school ball at my alma mater, St. Joe's Prep. He claims that the NFL is trying to phase out quarterback sneaks. So that tells me it's more than just brotherly shove / tush push. He said on Wednesday he believes the quarterback sneaks have been a point of emphasis. With the league's officials after the guard was flagged for lining up offside on 2 sneak plays in Sunday's win over the Rams. He said, I guess it was a point of emphasis with the officials. I wish we would have been told that for the first one. Sometimes they get communicated better. That's just the NFL trying to play out slowly. And he said that, the reporter said, asked if it's rare that an in-season point of emphasis for the official comes into play here. And Runyon said, I think they have a point of emphasis every week.
Yeah, that's true. But, dude, how you going to outlaw play that's been before any of us were ever alive?
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's one thing about quarterback sneaks is that, if you don't telegraph them, first of all, that's what you use, because a quarterback, believe it or not, is a football player. I know, a lot of times we don't treat them like one or view them as one because of especially how the NFL treats them, but still, if your defense ain't preparing for or even a simple quarterback draw, then it's like, hey, do you expect us to feel sorry for you if y'all can't stop the play?
Yeah. And I think there was only one quarterback that was injured in a quarterback sneak over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It was Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and it's like the other thing about that is that before you even do, and I actually gotta say this for one purpose, that I actually wish play clocks were a slight bit longer, because a lot of times when teams are rushing up, a lot of teams don't know where that line's at, and it's like, okay, somebody on the sideline communicate and say, hey, offside, hey, back up, you're past the line or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, or at least make an immediate flag if you're noticing it one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's like, just make it a dead ball. Just make it like dead ball foul. Yeah. Because a lot of times I catch these things and it's like, was that offensive lineman pass before the balls? And it was like, a lot of times they usually stay on, but it's like for the 1 or 2 that were called back, it's like, and I think this is one thing that I always hated was like delayed flags. And I understand sometimes it might get stuck in the referee's pocket or whatnot, or wherever they have their flags at. But it's like, if you can't throw your flag immediately, at least throw your hat, because everybody knows what that means too. And then it's like, let something know, like, because if a play's done and then I see a flag like 5 seconds later, then it's like, what's going on? And it's like, usually, like I said, it's probably that it got stuck. But if like in a half second when you see the fraction, if you can't get the flag out, then at least throw your hat. And then afterwards, if you want to throw the flag, then throw the flag.
Well, the referees have 3 things that they can throw. A flag, a beanbag, which is usually where it's an indication where they estimate where the ball was fumbled, or on punt returns where the return began, or their hat. Those are 3 things that they usually throw. Now, there was one play a couple of weeks ago in an Eagles game, and at least I think it was an Eagles game. It might have been one of the international games. The referee threw a beanbag and a flag on the play because he saw two different penalties. He was running out of things to throw.
Yeah, sometimes that happens like that.
Yeah, but I mean, the one thing I would like to see, and this will probably be a subject that probably will come up in a couple of months, like especially after the Super Bowl, especially if this were to come up. One thing that they do is, okay, you got 40 seconds to snap the ball. Technically, you got 41.
Yeah, because half second to where they got to look at the play clock and then see if the ball's still on the ground. Yeah.
But the thing is, and I know this from working college basketball at Holy Family when I was there at the beginning. Once the clock goes zero, there's nothing left on the clock. And that was, when I was there, it was before all university or all college teams, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA. Holy Family was NAIA at the time. You had to, we didn't have tenths of a second on the game clock. So once it hit zero, there was nothing left. Whereas if you had 0:01 seconds left, it could be a full second. It could be 0.3. You didn't know. What I would like to see the NFL do, and this is my take because it just seems like it's like sometimes it's 41, 42, 43. I mean, I'm over exaggerating, but you get the idea. Yeah. I think what they should do what the NBA does. Now, maybe you do it the final 10 seconds as opposed to the final 5, or maybe you do final 5. Final 5 seconds, put that clock in tenths of a second on the play clock. Mm-hmm. Because part of their argument is, oh, there may still be time left with 0 left before we call that penalty. No. Once it hits 0, it's 0. There's nothing left on the clock.
And I agree. And, yeah, because it's just like same thing with because like play clocks, when they run out, that's it. Mm-hmm. It's like if you don't make that play, it's a delay game on you. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now to go back to my original Eagles question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you hoping they lose another game before their next 3? And I'll tell you why I asked this one. Because remember that stat that they brought up about them when they're 11-1, and like every time they've had an 11-1 start, they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because I went over that schedule on Tuesday, and I said if the Eagles go 3-2 in these next 5 games, they're home free, or they should be home free, getting home field throughout the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, so especially if one of them 3 that they win are the road game against the Cowboys.
Yeah, and the San Francisco game. And by the way, Chicago just scored. They're up 15-10.
Surprise. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, but it's just like the way San Francisco has been going though, it's like, they're gonna need some.
Yeah.
They better start playing a.
Yeah, San Francisco looks winnable. You don't know what.
You have to win the Seattle game too.
You know what? I would not be surprised. And this, you can clip this out because you mentioned 11-1. I would not be surprised that the Eagles go to Dallas 11-1. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles went 8-4 too. Yeah. I mean, that's the way football can be, and me jinxing them and everything. But Kansas City's offense isn't what it's been in past years. I think that's a winnable game. Now, whether they win or not, that's something different. You
Oh,
got
wait. Can we stop with that one? Yeah, can we just stop with that one? Because I got to get two like really good points off this one. Yeah, the first one being comical, but the second one being serious. Wouldn't it be a shame if Taylor Swift were at that game and we get to mess up, quote unquote, people's sexiest athlete alive?
actually,
17?
Jason Kelsey was the sexiest Kelsey athlete this year.
Yeah.
The People magazine. Okay, let me just check one thing. I'm pulling up the Taylor Swift concert dates here, and there's a method to this. Okay.
Yeah, I know because she's been in a few games now, and Lord knows that the NFL's put a lot of coverage on it. So.
Okay. I say the chances of her being at Kansas City on November 20th is slim and none.
Where's she at on the 19th, or at least the 18th?
I am going to show you here. I'm going to share my screen here.
Yeah.
She is in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Has a couple days off and is back on November 24th.
Yeah, and trying to fly back on Thanksgiving, and yeah, good luck.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guarantee you she flies charter, but,
Yeah.
But I doubt that she would be flying all the way from Brazil to be at the football game.
Yeah, hey, never know, but yeah, I'm gonna tell you what though, and looking at the NFC picture right now. Let's see.
And
man, I would say if I'm Philly, it's the one team I would not want to see.
Who's that?
Detroit.
Yeah, but I think that if they ended up with the 3 seed, I think they lose in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, that's if they get there right now. Like, yeah, with the 2, but it's like say outside of Baltimore, I think that was really their only bad loss.
Yeah.
Oh, but then again, it's like I'm even saying if San Francisco's even in the West champion, because like I said, yeah, Seattle could get up there a little bit too, but then again, they just got bum rushed.
Yeah, and they got Washington this Sunday. Then they get the Rams, and then they play San Francisco on Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Actually, they play San Francisco twice in 17 days.
Yeah. And they got a Cowboys game right in the middle. So.
Mm-hmm. And that Cowboys game in the middle, that is the one Thursday game out of the year where they get a full week between games. That Thursday after Thanksgiving is always the two Thanksgiving Day teams with a full week to prepare, as opposed to 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Then again, like the Niners don't exactly have one easier because they got to go to Jacksonville, coming off of Jacksonville having a bye week. Well, actually, both teams were. That's kind of weird. We got 2 games. We're gonna have 2 games where both feature everybody who was on a bye week last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 49ers, Jaguars, but then let's see who else they got. All right, Tampa, that's a win. All right, then they got the road game at Seattle. Then they got to come to Philly. Yeah. And then they host Seattle, so yeah.
Yeah. If there's one saving grace with that Eagles game for San Francisco, is they get 3 extra days to prepare.
True.
Other than that, I don't I mean, I don't think San Francisco. I think San Francisco. I think it's a little bit of Brock Purdy finally starting to come back to reality here. Now, I'm not saying that he was superstar or whatever. I just think that you're going to lose games, and we may see Jalen Hurts lose 3 games in a row, possibly. I don't think it's going to happen because I think the Eagles win the 2 home games.
Yep.
It's a matter of what road games they're going to win.
And definitely going to need a Dallas one. Because, because that'll keep us 4-0 in the division.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it'll give us the tiebreak. And we already have the tiebreakers with Dallas and Washington. So.
Yeah. Seattle doesn't impress me. And it isn't because it got blown out by Baltimore. Even with the other games. I mean, I'm not sold on Geno Smith as a quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't. And then again, and then they got blown out by the Rams too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then let's see, they like coughed up that Bengals game. So.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot like something else was one good thing was that although it's not exactly the loss you want to take, but that at least the one. Oh crap! Oh no, we got 2 AFC games left, so it's like at least the one good thing was like, taking that Jets L was that. Yeah, at least it's an AFC loss, not an NFC loss.
Yeah, and I said that right after the game. The best thing is it's not a conference loss. It's not a divisional loss. And one thing Jason Kelsey said, because he was actually in the booth for a little bit with the bye week, he was on the pregame show on Amazon, and he was also in the booth in the second quarter right before my show started. He said there's 2 things that haven't happened for him in his career. He's never beaten Kansas City. He's never beaten Seattle.
Oh, that's crazy.
Now,
well, actually, Kansas City won because you don't get to play them every year. But Seattle, that one I'm a little surprised about.
It's been the last 5 or 6 times because they went to Seattle 2 or 3 times and lost out there at Lumen Field. They had the game. They had the playoff game with them where Josh McCown was playing with a ripped glute, and Carson Wentz had a concussion injury. They lost once when Chip Kelly was here, and that was a horrific game to watch because Seattle knew what to do, and the Eagles in that game never had a drive of more than 5 plays. So it's at least 4 games in a row that Seattle has on the Eagles. And that's just off the top of my head.
And I was like also looking at this, it was like, like who do you think needs to be like, who do you think really needs to be like an impact player for the Eagles when we get to that Kansas City game?
I think in a way, whoever's going to be the replacement tight end for Dallas Goedert. Now, I'm not saying that he has to do that Dallas Goedert things, but maybe you get 2-3 passes as opposed to 7 from Goedert. Still keep them honest where you still have to cover the tight end. I mean, Devontae Smith is starting to come back into form here. I have him on my fantasy team. That's why I know. Because, like, I was joking around with one of my friends. I said, man, I love that triple ESPN alert. Touchdown pass Hurts, pass touchdown reception Devontae Smith, and the ESPN update for the score of the game. Da 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 3 times. But I think I think I think that Smith is a key. I wouldn't be. I'll throw Zacchaeus in there. Olamide Zacchaeus. I'll throw him in there because I think he's more of a 3 than Julio Jones. I mean, he's a body out there, but he can still catch balls if you throw him his way. I think whoever's running the ball, whether it's Swift, Penny, Gainwell, or Boston Scott, any of those 4 guys. Because the best defense that you can have is a ball control offense. And if the Eagles are holding the ball for 35 to 40 minutes in any game, they're going to win that game because they're going to wear down that defense with the way that they have those 8-9 minute drives. You got an occasional brotherly shove in there on a drive. You just can't. You just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't win. The other team can't win if they're going to sustain the 35 to 40 minute time of possession.
Yeah. Under most normal circumstances, I would say you're right. But then when I remember how quickly Patrick Mahomes could. Now, I will say this, though, that they haven't shown it this year as opposed to like other years. But I was like, with the way Mahomes quick strikes and, of course, not having Tyreek Hill would also be a detriment for that quick strike offense. But it was like, still, yeah. Especially if you're going to do that in the fourth quarter, you better make sure that that final play you run and score on, that clock hits 0 as you score.
Mm-hmm.
And preferably if you're already leading.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, we may get a distracted Travis Kelce, for example, because, Taylor's in Brazil. She's not in the box. But
that's all happened the last time.
But he may end up being distracted and have that game like he had last year where he had 4 catches for 22 yards, but all 4 catches were touchdowns. You could have a game like that where he only has 22 yards, but he has 4 touchdowns.
True. For me, though, I'm looking at the defensive side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the first person I'm looking at, James Bradbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, he eventual holding call, which led to said game-winning field goal from.
Yeah. And that was a hold. So, I mean, some people said, it's not a hold, it's a hold. Nah, it was a hold. Game over.
Yeah. Let's see. And then I got to look at then I also got to look at Hassan Reddick because for a good part of the game, he couldn't get. Yeah, mostly because of that lousy field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that he couldn't get to. He couldn't get to Mahomes, so I was like, expect him to come up. Let's see who on the front 7 side. What I want to look.
Well, Nakobe Dean's going back on the IR from what I heard.
Yeah, he's already on.
Yeah, he's got a Liz Frank sprain.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so probably maybe look at Josh Sweat a little bit, or maybe Jordan Davis or somebody. Maybe a member of that front 7, is a young dude, is somebody that we haven't really heard his name a lot because they're going to key in on Barnett and Cox and Graham and whatnot. So, yes, maybe we might finally get a Jalen Carter or Nolan Smith sighting.
Yeah. And they can rotate those guys in and out. And I know with N'Kobe Dean out, I know I saw a couple of people say, "Oh, I like," or I know what it was. It was um, Ross Tucker. Ross Tucker said on Twitter today, at least I think it was from today, that he really likes what Zach Cunningham's been providing the last few weeks. So it's a chance for him to step up the same way, if we think about it, how Reed Blankenship stepped up last year.
And I tell you what, like if that defense can get to Mahomes this time, is like, yeah, and hopefully avoid any roughing and passer calls. Yeah, and I mean legit ones, not like those ones where you just like graze them, but they still throw the flag.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, like I said, the defense winds up being a factor in this scheme. Yeah. For a positive, then the Eagles win. If Mahomes lights them up early in quick streaks, yeah, then it's going to be trouble.
Yeah. But they're still going to win the division. They're still up a couple of games in the division, right? Minimum, a couple. Kansas City's up 2.5 games in the division right now, 7-2. So they're probably going to win that division rather comfortably again. But they only, believe it or not, Kansas City has only scored 208 points this year. Philly has scored 252.
Oh, I'm not surprised at Kansas City's offense, because we said Eric Bieniemy was going to be a big loss for him.
And Matt Nagy took over too, and we know how he ended up in the pros as a head coach. I mean,
yeah. But and by the way, I just want to throw this a comparison here. I say because there's 7-2. They just a record that the one thing I will say is that when you flip on the scoring against, Pats 143, but the Eagles are giving up 195.
Yeah. And a lot of those points that the Eagles have given up, I don't think there were that many garbage time scores. Because they've been in a lot of close games this year. Patriots 25-20, that went down to the end. Minnesota, that was kind of garbage time-ish a little bit.
Yep.
Commanders was an overtime game here. They shut down the Rams in the second half. They lost to the Jets there in a weird game. They pretty much shut down Miami. If you shut down Miami to 17 points, you shut them down. And then you had another wild one with the Commanders. And you had that game with the Cowboys that came down to the end. So they haven't had any real games that really the points looks deceiving because there was a garbage touchdown here and there was a garbage touchdown there. They're giving up points, but they're scoring more than enough points to win. Even if it is a last second touchdown.
Yeah, and then like another issue I'll look forward to. Yeah, and then like another issue is that while the Eagles got like a rough schedule on their end, Cowboys after Thanksgiving, they don't look that much easy because they got Philly, they got to go to Buffalo, spend Christmas Eve in Miami, then they got to wrap up against Detroit, and that ain't going to be no picnic.
Yeah.
And be season's beatings.
Now, I mean, they get a. I would think that they would get a bye game this week with the Giants
Yeah,
because they're
especially at
seven.
that 40-0 beat down they did it
Yeah,
opening night. Yeah.
I mean, if they had Danny Dimes, if they didn't have all the injuries that they've had, you would think that this would be a much closer game, even though the Giants have been garbage all year. But since they're down to their third quarterback, Danny DeVito, I'm sorry, Tommy DeVito, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I joke around and call him Danny.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, he plays like it.
but that Washington game's not going to be easy. That Seattle game's not easy. But they get 10 games to prepare for the Eagles. Then they got to go to Buffalo and Miami. That Buffalo game will be very interesting because you don't know what the weather's going to be like on Christmas Eve there. Or I'm sorry, the 17th.
Oh, yeah.
Miami's Christmas Eve.
Oh no, yeah, Buffalo. Oh no, yeah, Buffalo in December. Yeah, no. Only thing you don't know is if it's going to snow or not. But you damn sure know how that weather's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be barely above freezing.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be windy.
Yeah, so they don't have Kansas City. They don't have San Francisco again. But they still have Buffalo. They still have Miami. Miami at home is more of a juggernaut than they are on the road. Detroit, you never know, because they may not be playing for anything that Saturday night. They may have the division locked up, but can't move up to the one.
Yeah, because I'm about to say, only 2 losses they got so far, and listen, they might be still thinking home field.
Yeah, they could be thinking home field, but they may be in a situation as well, and I haven't looked at their schedule.
All right, yeah, I can tell you right now. Sunday they're in LA against the Chargers. That'll be a win. Then they're home against Chicago. And there's another one. Then they got Thanksgiving with the Packers. There's 3. Then they got to go to New Orleans. That one may be tricky because sometimes you never know how Derek Carr's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then they got to go to Chicago. All right, so there's 4 definite. Then they're home against Denver, 5. Then with Minnesota, Christmas Eve in Minnesota, then there could be a tricky game right there. Because, how Minnesota's going to do, and I think Jefferson will be back by then. Jefferson will definitely be back because he's coming this week.
Yeah, they opened the window, but he's still not 100%. Yeah.
But then again, if Dobbs plays decent going into that one, then there could be that could be a little bit of battle for the NFC North. But
yeah.
Especially because it did So let's see. Wait a minute. I said I gave them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 definite, and they're at 6-2 now. So 11-2. I think they could steal that. So 12-2. Yeah. Game in Minnesota, that could be tricky. Because I do see the Eagles losing a game or two. So it's like, they could be. I think they could reel off 13-2. To be honest, by the time they get to that Dallas game, or at least 12-3, one or the other.
Now I'm giving away one of my picks for this weekend. I think the Rams can beat. The Chargers. I think they're going to beat Detroit. Ooh. I think they win the Chicago game. They win the Green Bay game. I think they lose to New Orleans. They win that Chicago game. I think they obviously they win that Denver game. They're going to lose one of these Minnesota games. Probably, I'll say this one, and I think they would lose the Dallas game too, possibly. So that gives them 5 losses. if they get the 5 losses, I don't see the Eagles getting the 5 losses. I see them possibly 4, with that last game against the Giants possibly being a loss because it means nothing to them. Possibly.
Yeah, but like I said, it depends right now.
Yeah.
How these next 5 weeks go.
Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I see 1 or 2 losses there, not more than that. You can argue these games. I think Kansas City's a winnable game. I think Buffalo's going to be an Eagles rout. I think San Francisco, that's going to be a win. And it's which one of these games are you going to lose, Dallas or Seattle? I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles. I mean, they're not going to go 0-5. You know that. You can argue 5-0. You can argue 4-1. You can argue 3-2. You can even argue 2-3 and say, okay, the 2 home games are the wins, the 3 road games are the losses. Okay. I don't see any worse than 2-3. So that will leave you with 4 losses at the most. They're not losing that Christmas Day game.
No.
And I'm on record from Tuesday night. I will not be surprised because Jonathan Gannon comes here New Year's Eve. I will not be surprised if the Eagles run up the score and then some on Arizona with everything that Jonathan Gannon did, taking the job before he was actually done, and all the different things that he did behind the scenes leading up there. I will not be surprised if the Eagles put a 50 or 60 burger minimum on Arizona.
Damn. Minimum. Hey. It did. Yeah, we might want to have a little revenge on our minds. Too. Well, a little city revenge on our minds. Yeah, because I was like, Diamondback. Cardinals come up here wearing some Diamondbacks gear.
Mm-hmm. But I could see the Eagles running up the score of that game. I really do.
And let's see. Let's go to the Flyboys now. Boys, got the West Coast trip still going.
Yeah, and I wish I had money in my account because I would have jumped all over San Jose money line.
Yeah. I always threw a joke with this, but I always say you had to mention that San Jose. I was trying to avoid it. But, I always made a joke and said, if you haven't done anything yet, the first time you'll do it is against the Philly team. And sure enough, and I didn't even know the schedule, like, it was going to pull it up. But I looked at it as like, we gave San Jose their first win of the season. It was like, yep, add this one to the list.
Yeah, somebody mentioned on Twitter the game was last night, right?
Yeah. All right.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
Somebody said on Twitter earlier in the day, why does this feel like the Flyers are going to lose this game? And I said, I feel the same way because of the whole theory San Jose is due. Just like any team that comes into Philadelphia, especially in baseball, I hate seeing a team coming in with a 10-11 game losing streak because they're due to break the losing streak. Even if it's a team that's 10-50 playing a Phillies team that's 50-10. They're due. The way baseball is, you're due for that. And the same thing with hockey, and Carter Hart's out for a while with a mid-body injury, I think it was.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't decide if it was Northern Hemisphere or Southern Hemisphere, so they just said, oh, let's have it at the equator, mid-body. But they do have, but he is out for a while, so.
Yeah, I'll see. That's still that. Look at their last 3 games. Yeah. They've outscored their opponents 11-3.
Who's at the Flyers?
Yeah. I was like, so they're doing something. Oh wait, actually no, I missed right there because so they're actually all right, so it's 8-6. My bad.
Flyers have lost 5 of their last 6. They have a rematch with Anaheim on Friday. They lost on October 28th here at the Wells Fargo Center. They lost to Carolina. They split a home and home with Buffalo, and they lost 5-0 to LA. And
who to actually go play against this coming Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been out west twice already this year. They've been to Dallas and Vegas, and they knocked down Anaheim, San Jose, LA on this trip.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, be interesting to see. I don't have any real hopes for Flyers. It's not that, it's just that they're rebuilding.
True.
And, it's, you got to give them time to gel as a young team, and, and maybe some of the veterans that are there, they can get traded to get some younger players, and, but, it's just, it's just the way it is. And you do have, I'm looking at the standings here, and they're like 5 points out already of a playoff spot, I think.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah.
It's still.
You gotta say that. Nice to see that. TK and Farabee and Atkinson are off to like good starts.
Yeah. And Atkinson barely played at all last year, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I know he was out for like a good while, like near the end of the season.
Yeah, he played. No, he did play. Oh no, he didn't play at all last year. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was injured all year.
And that's right. And you know, it's a crazy thing. And I was just looking this up because I don't know, because I don't have any stats for tonight. All right, if you had to take a guess, prior to the start of any of tonight's games, how many shorthanded goals do you think were scored this season across the NHL?
Let's see. Flyers have played 13 games. Let's say if everybody plays 13 games, that's about a 6th or 7th of the season. I will say 15.
Wait. Remember, I was asking for shorthanded.
Yeah. You're talking about the entire league, right?
Yeah. The entire league, how many shorthanded goals were scored? So you said 15.
Yeah.
Way low.
Wow.
Yeah. Would you believe 50?
Wow.
50. Yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, I hadn't checked any of tonight's games, so it was like, because I was like turning around and I'm like, what is going on with all these shorthanded goals here right now? And it's like, and by the way, and for the record, TK and Walker have like 2 apiece.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I was like going through the league because I was like, dude, what is going on here? It was like, we're not even a month into the season, and it's like I've already seen like more shorthanded goals in the 1 month of the opening season that I think I've ever had in the entire time I've ever watched hockey.
Yeah, and maybe it's just something, just some anomaly, or maybe this is a trend for the future.
Yeah, it could be because like a lot of teams have been getting into it. I was like, yeah, it's gonna think about asking that with PLC and JR when they do their show next week. But yeah, and I always like whenever I do like my Stanley Cup breakdowns, like that's usually a stat that I cover, and it was like, yeah, I'm like looking at this year, it's like, good lord, man,
Yeah,
it's like we're just a month into, we're just a month older, we already got 50. It was like,
wow.
man, I'll tell you, if this rate keeps up, man, Lord knows how they're gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah, Lord knows how they're gonna be by the time All-Star time gets here.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get back into hockey more this year, so I can actually make myself look like a knowledgeable hockey guy and not just
Yeah, well, trust me with yeah, trust me, between me and Luch will definitely have you
yeah.
like sounding like one.
I mean, you guys.
You know, I know Luch is a Rangers fan, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less about that, even though I will tell you that I feel like the Rangers are a bigger uh, arch rival than the Penguins because New York's closer to Philly. But um, yeah, I try to focus on all the different sports and everything like that, and even with Bleacher Brothers, the website, I've become the horse racing aficionado.
Yeah.
I even got an article that I think is going to get posted tomorrow for a pick that I have on Saturday's races, a new thing I'm going to do on the weekends to get content up. But, I mean, even though for the most part, you and Luch can handle the hockey part, I mean, I still have to, I'm still going to watch games. It's just that I need to get back into it in the terms of much watch hockey. But the thing is, there's always something else I want to watch, like a Thursday football game, or there's a Sixers game on, which I missed last night.
Yeah. And speaking of what, yeah, what do you think about this? Yeah, so what do you think about this tournament so far?
You know what? It's not really going to affect the schedule. It's not going to affect the schedule too much. And the way that they have it spaced out enough where the tournament games are Tuesdays and Fridays. So it's not like you may not have a back-to-back situation, but the courts that they're having for these tournaments, they need to go. I mean, I just saw the artistic renderings of them. I'm like, no way, no, don't do it. But and they said it drew more fans to watch. It drew more eyes into those games, and if that's what they want, great. But it's like, I mean, I haven't looked at the NBA standings, or I haven't looked at a PDF of the Philadelphia Daily News and see if they have a special box here where they say Group A is this team's 1-0 and this team's 1-0 and this team's 1-0.
Yeah, it's like that. Just wound up doing that just before I went on the air. So yeah, it's it. Let's see. Can I get? All right, so standings go a little like this right now. Well, Sixers haven't played a game yet, but right now in their group, yeah, it's just the Pacers defeated the Cavs.
Yeah, and the Sixers had a Saturday afternoon game with the West Coast team, so that's why they didn't play.
Yeah. Yeah, then like I said, they're playing Detroit tomorrow, and then Atlanta, who also has not played. Oh. Yeah, they're still not going to be playing. Yeah, because they're down in Mexico City right now.
Who's in Mexico City?
The Hawks, and yeah, because they're playing the Magic. And then let's see. All right, and then Tuesday, well, the Hawks finally get to play because they'll play Detroit, and then Sixers will be home against the Pacers. Oh, you could possibly have. All right, so that game will be close to wrapping up by the time you go on Tuesday's show.
Yeah, and you got the Sixers playing 3 games in 4 nights.
Yeah.
You get Indiana Sunday and Tuesday. Actually, 5 games in 7 nights because they get Detroit tomorrow. They play Indiana Sunday and Tuesday. Tuesday being a home tournament game, and then they play Boston here on Wednesday.
Yep.
No wonder why the schedule didn't come out until the end of August.
The next Friday, they got their second tournament game in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know how a lot of people don't like ESPN, but if you go to ESPN and you go to the standings, you have options for the standings, the regular standings, the expanded versus the division, and in-season tournament. So you do have a tab for that. So at least ESPN has a place for it. And you only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 games played so far over the 6 groups.
And right now, Sixers right now, leading the East 6-1 right now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, lost their opening game, come back 1-6 straight.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, we're behind them. And then, of course, the champion Nuggets being the best in West 8-1. And in Boston, man, after starting 5-0, they dropped 2 straight. Actually, they're last undefeated team left.
Gives me an idea for the Tuesday night show since the Celtics and the Sixers play on Wednesday again. I might reach out to somebody for Tuesday night. Maybe we'll talk some Sixers, Celtics, and everything else. And maybe I'll remember to wear the shirt again. I don't know.
Joe, I'm gonna get going because speaking of articles, I got one to read. Right?
Yeah, I wrote one tonight. I wrote one this afternoon while I was working, and it was just that pick for the weekend for Saturday's races. Well, one race, and I'm going to be doing it on the weekend, so I think everybody's going to see at least two in from me. So I'll let you go, and I'll bring Captain Ron in. He's knocking 2, and we'll have some fun with this.
All right. Catch you later, brother.
All right. Thanks. Rock and Reese, everybody. You can catch his show here on nofilter.net, Rock and Jocks as well. So I did say Captain Ron is here as well. I'm going to bring him in here now. So busy night here in Studio 213 tonight, as I like to call my apartment here. And Captain Ron is on the way in, and there he is.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just enjoying. I'm just here. I'm just here for the fun.
Oh, that's what I'm here for, to have some fun here.
This is probably the first time I've actually been able to actually come onto your show, because usually I'm like sleeping, getting ready I can sit here and be prepared for work. But I kind of figured in my head before I sit here and take that little quick power nap.
Yeah,
I wanted to at least sit here and come up and show my appreciation to
Thank you.
No Filter, Bleacher Brothers, and everybody with everything that's been going on. And plus, you just saw my brother from another mother, my tag team partner on the Aftermath. It's just fun to be able to sit here and just come out there. And plus, I just watched the Blues sit here and get a big hard fought win over the Coyotes tonight. So I'm almost certain that Rico and I won't be talking to each other for another week. So there is that.
Yeah. But I haven't. I don't have any mortal enemies with my Flyers here with no filter or anything, because truthfully, I got nothing to talk smack about because the Flyers are rebuilding.
But I mean, in fairness, when it comes to the Flyers, I feel better about the way the Flyers are playing right now, just because they've always been that threat. It's like beginning of the seasons, it's like, the Flyers, the Kraken, the Blues, the Penguins. They always seem to literally be kind of they may not look intimidating at the beginning of the season, but at the end of the season, they either love to play spoiler or love to basically be dominant. And we saw that last year with the Kraken, with the Knights. We saw that pretty much a couple of times with the Blues. Same thing with the Flyers. So it's kind of one of those things of where if you aren't paying attention to NHL to basically NHL hockey right now, you clearly are missing a lot. And we're doing all this all the while sitting here preparing for whatever in the world is going on as far as I heard from the NFL game of the night, which I guess you could say maybe something, but ain't really anything.
Hot garbage.
Yeah, I literally sat here and wrote an article about that, saying if there's anything to do, anything else you could do, like literally you could get a donkey kick to the pills. I literally said that in an article that you can basically go for a colonoscopy, a hysterectomy, a lobotomy, anything else in the world. You can get literally a prostate exam, and that would be more enjoyable than this football game. And I guess in fairness, the game's kind of doing itself. Right now, it's 2-minute warning just kicked in. It's 4th and 1 for the Panthers. They're down by 3. But this is a game where if there's any game that you don't have to sit here and have to watch, this would be right up there at the top of the list. And I tried to hype it up. I tried to basically get something good out of this game, but it's a team that's 1-7 versus a team that's 2-7, and it's not enjoyable to anybody. So I kind of wanted to take a little moment to hear and say, because I think honestly, you've been one of the biggest supporters on us, both in the Bleacher Brothers and No Filter. I want to show my appreciation because I don't get to sit here and actually come on and do other people's shows. Usually I'm either doing Aftermath or Sunday Fun Day. And if it wasn't for the Blues game tonight, I would have been on Rockin' Jocks. I didn't even know Rockin' Jocks was going to be tonight, but I'm good with it. I'm looking forward to it. But I definitely look forward to all the fun and the anarchy. I'm definitely going to be sitting here paying a lot more attention to your shows because, quite frankly, being able to have a actual legitimate Philly guy to talk sports with versus a guy who acts like he's from Philly but ain't really from Philly, that's a lot more enjoyable. Honestly, between you and Reese, it's just fun because you guys are from Philly and you guys like to have a good time and y'all talk smack. I can sit here and pass that up. Plus, when the Eagles play the Cowboys, it's fun. It's fun to give them time too.
Yeah, and I do appreciate your kind words. And and the one thing I would have, and maybe, did you submit that article yet?
The article I did actually submit. I just wanted to submit it before pregame. I wanted to do it before the game started because I know we had this time thing, and you know AJ. He's a stickler about time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I try to get it done before the game got kicked off. So I wanted to get all the games for college football, NFL, all of them done. I got our latest list of collisions going on. This is how we're now in a competition with the NCAA board of directors for better lists, for the better top 10 lists. So we're right now, I believe Reese and I are campaigning for Liberty and James Madison to get added to the college football playoff, or at least the New Year's Six series. So I think we're campaigning for that. And I can honestly tell you, it's almost like last year all over again. And I'm probably having more fun now than I did in a long time. I do feel like Randy Orton did that tail end in his career. So that's kind of what I feel like at this moment.
Yeah. And I even wrote an article while I was working today. Now, granted, I've been I don't want to say typecasted or anything like that. I could say that, whatever. I've turned into the gambling and horse racing expert, and I use that term loosely, and I'm using finger quotes for those that are listening.
You pretty much become AJ with more hair, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well,
It's fine.
I'm pretty bald too, but
yeah. You've seen AJ. You've seen AJ.
Yeah,
You've seen me.
yeah.
We're balds. We're Johnsons.
Yeah.
We're bald by nature.
But I haven't gotten a haircut in 3 or 4 months. So, I mean, I look like, and if anybody gets offended with this, I apologize. I mean, I know we're no filter, but I'm also uploading this on the podcast. I know that when I get up in the morning, I look like the White Don King with my hair up about 6 inches.
If you think that's gonna offend somebody, that obviously they don't know Don King, they don't know Jack. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, having Don King hair probably say make my wife feel better because at least I know she's getting her long hair back. But she has to see her go through that madness with our 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So trust me when I say this, it's not going to sit here and affect anybody. But I'm kind of glad I don't have the Don King hair. I'm glad that my mother decided that the Jerry curl was the right thing to do for a kindergartner, which is why I shave my head nowadays. But hey, it kind of works out well for everybody. But I don't want to take up too much of the time because I know that basically you got a lot of stuff you got to go through. I look forward to reading that article and definitely doing some comments on there, which is going to be like the mainstay for at least the tail end of the weekend, so I can get prepared for a crazy weekend of college football. Hopefully by this time, Colorado CU will turn it around and get that big win, and hopefully the Blues will keep that little streak going for them as well. But I kind of look forward to it because now I'll have a lot of free time on my hands for the weekends now. Yeah. And I just want to be able to say, if you guys have not sat here and paid attention to Joe Q, there's a reason why we love this guy. There's a reason why this guy is good at what he does. He does, in the best Chris Jericho terms, he's the best in the world at what he does. And most of what he does is funny as hell. So check this guy out, definitely. And somewhere in the middle of that, check out all of us here on No Filter. Check us all on Bleacher Brothers. This time you'll see me. I'll be alongside Reese on Sunday for Sunday Fun Day, which will be going on, I believe, 1 hour prior to NFL kickoff. Also, we'll be doing our infamous NFL Aftermath, which will be going on about, I believe, 8 Eastern, 4 Pacific, here on No Filter. Definitely, if you guys have a little voice, you guys have a voice, but you feel like you don't have the stones to be able to sit here and be vocal. Email your list to us. Send us your list. Type in. You have these chats here for a reason. Knock. Do whatever it comes down to. Make yourself well known, because we love it when the fans are able to actually say what the hell is on their minds, because that is the point of No Filter. We do it because nobody else has the balls to do it.
And this is a fun place. It's a safe space for getting your word out. And I'm still going to be careful with what I say. I'm going to be the outlier and qualify all my things. But that's only because I turn this into my own podcast and go from there. But because I'm trying to grow little by little. I'm not worried about numbers. I'm more worried about when my podcast gets uploaded, where are those hits coming from? Because every once in a while I get an odd hit from like Arizona, or I get a hit in Florida, or I get a hit in Europe, or I got a hit somewhere in Africa a couple weeks ago.
Was it, wait, that hit from Africa, was that from a Nigerian prince?
No.
Are you sure? Because we can double check it if we have to.
I wish it was a Nigerian princess.
It may have been the Nigerian prince with a wig on. I mean, that may have been the closest to what it got from it.
Was his number one hit "I'm Half Woman, Hear Me Roar"?
I think it was number one hit was "I'm Every Woman," the whacked karaoke Whitney Houston version.
Not the version from I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
Possibly, could have been.
Yeah,
we may have to marry on that. We will get you your answer on Sunday during NFL Sunday Fun Day with Rock and Reese. We will get you that answer there, Joe. I gotcha.
Okay. That hit was from the Ivory Coast, by the way.
Hey, basically we already know it already rains down in Africa, so that's as much as we know.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice Toto reference, by the way. Nice 80s music.
I am an 80s kid. I pay homage.
Same here.
But have as much fun with it, Joe. Look forward to basically the Nets round you got. Look forward to what you got coming down the pike. I will make this a thing because hopefully in the next couple of weeks this will be changing and it will give me a little bit more free time on my hands. Have fun. Philly, don't feel bad. At least Arizona did not win the series. And Eagles, thank you for sitting here shutting Cowboys fans up for at least a week.
Yes.
I say this now because my wife is not in the room because I know she'll throw something at me if she hears anything I say.
Wait, I see her.
I'm looking over my shoulder. I didn't say nothing. I said nothing. No. She's in the room now.
And
I said, thank you, Philly fans, for shutting Cowboys fans up for a week.
You didn't.
I did.
They didn't. I don't give a shit.
See?
And somebody just got cut off for a couple of days.
Hop somewhere else.
And on that note, I'm gonna go spend time with the missus because I know I'm in the doghouse again. But Joe, great show, great coverage. Look forward to it. Keep up the good work. You guys follow this guy, watch this guy, read this guy, enjoy this, jump in, have a good time.
Thank you so much.
Good night, Philly.
Thank you. Captain Ron, everybody. And check out his shows. You heard the shows there. There was I need to look at the front page more often because he has, you know what, let me go to the main page here. Before I do that, let me give myself one of those. And I'll probably be told that my podcasting is too loud again, but hey, that happens from time to time. Just so I can get the mention the info again. The NFL Aftermath is Monday the 14th, or Tuesday the 14th right now. That's a 7 o'clock start. I will be at 9:15. I just haven't created that show yet. Then he's got his show on Sunday. Yeah, my brain's fried, people. So you heard everything there. Not only follow him, great dude. Also, what I would also recommend, if you're going to watch a show on No Filter, give everybody an opportunity. I mean, we got former Major League players, Will Clark and Eric Burns on here. We have Jeremy Roenick on here. And then we get a radio legend like Tony Bruno here. Tony Bruno's on here every Friday night. Whatever you're going to watch, give somebody an opportunity. Give them a listen. We're pretty free with the First Amendment, and some people say, oh, you can get away with everything. And I will tell you, I'm going to be a little more careful with what I say. Only because, next thing you know, I have a meeting at work, and did you say this about our company? No. Oh, let me play this video. Boom. So I'm a little careful. I'm a little more careful because that's just the way I am. It's part of the union upbringing and everything else, always being careful what you say and everything. So, but give Captain Ron a look. Give Rock and Reese a look. And give everybody an opportunity here at nofilter.net. And like I said earlier in the show, you got the chat, you got the knock room where I bring in, like I brought in Rock and Reese, I brought in Captain Ron. So a lot of fun topics, and you too can play America's favorite game, Derail the Host. At least I call it that when I make fun of my ADD, ADHD, LMNOP, XYZ, PDQ, and all that other stuff. So, so I just want to close up some of the baseball points there that I was making. Aaron Nola won 7 for 210. Not happening, I don't think. Harper's going to be the permanent first baseman. That means Rhys Hoskins is probably out. But who knows? Maybe they were negotiating and they know they aren't getting it done. Castellanos is allegedly on the trading block. I can see that because he's been so streaky, and on top of that, everything, I mean, it's nice to say streaky, but in the biggest games, he came up very small. So now, one thing I didn't mention was a name that you may hear in trade rumors with potentially Nick Castellanos is Alex Verdugo of the Red Sox. Now, Dave Dombrowski was with the Red Sox when Verdugo went to Boston. Now, Jorge Soler and Teoscar Hernandez, who I mentioned before, are right field options for the Phillies, possibly, and the Red Sox for that matter. Because this is actually on the Boston Red Sox blog through SI.com. So they say that Verdugo could possibly be there for trades. He had 264 with 55 extra base hits, including 13 home runs, 54 RBIs, and a 745 OPS. But he saved 9 defensive runs, if you're a sabermetric guy, in an extremely difficult Fenway Park. So that may be a name. Don't be surprised if that's a name that comes up with the rumors that come along. We could see that happening as well. So Ron Washington was hired by the LA Angels to be the next manager, and good for him. He was out. He was the third base coach for the Braves for the last 6 or 7 years. He had time with the Texas Rangers. He took them to 2 World Series in 2010 and 2011. He left the team in 2014 because of personal reasons, but he's back. He's 71 years old, so he assumes the throne as the oldest manager in baseball. And I imagine this is going to be like a 2-3 year deal before they get somebody younger. Maybe he grooms somebody to take over for him in a couple of years. Who knows? But I like that move. Ron Washington's a well-liked human being, and I may have been a little bit against him, because the Braves are such hot dogs, and he was an enabler as a third base coach. But hey, players are going to celebrate more and more now, and it is what it is. But it is a good hire. He becomes the second black manager in baseball, alongside Dave Roberts, down the highway or up the highway in LA. So Ron Washington is the new Angels manager, beating out Buck Showalter for the job. I mentioned John Runyon. Oh, I do want to play this here. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to save the Bally Sports story for my audio only, which I'm promising I'll get back to. It's just that the last couple of weekends, it's just, and last week was a total disaster. And by the time Sunday night came around after the Eagles game, I was spent from that game. So maybe it's something I write the script for. Yeah, I do have scripts here. Tonight's script was this garble there. And if you can read it, congratulations. I know my buddy Luigi Curto always gives me a hard time about my writing, but not sure if this is true or not. But this may have been overheard at the general managers meetings in Arizona. This may have been heard. And like I said before, this may be Chan Ho Park's walk-up song, which is an inside joke that we have here at No Filter. Here you go.
I have a bad case of diarrhea. 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 I have a bad case of
There we go. Well, the reason why I play that is the unofficial start to the baseball offseason, the general managers meetings in Arizona, had to be canceled. That is because quite a few front office personnel, general managers that were at this round of Major League Baseball meetings in Arizona were suffering from ailments stemming from a virus. And when I first saw this article, I'm like, okay, this may be clickbait because I know a lot of people out there that are anti-vax, anti-Fauci, anti-this, anti-that, anything to do with the whole COVID thing. I thought, I wonder if this is a COVID story. But apparently it was some sort of a virus that's going around. They said that when this first came, when they first posted this, they said they speculated if it was Tuesday's lunch buffet or it was some sort of a norovirus of some sort or anything like that. So they ruled out later on in an editor's note that the symptoms, many people developed symptoms on Wednesday afternoon, meaning the ailment stems from a virus rather than a foodborne illness. So, but they did take all precautions, as rightfully so. And, I don't care what part of the world you're in, what part of the country you're in, just like anything else. Hope for the best, expect the worst. And they put masks on, the food staff, because they didn't know what was going on. And that's how it should have been at the beginning of the whole COVID thing back in 2020. It's like, what the hell is this stuff? But of course, after 3 years, some people are know-it-all, some people are this, some people are that. I try to steer neutral politics. So if I'm pissing off the right, I'm pissing off the left, I'm trying to steer in the middle here so I can not piss anybody off or piss everybody off. But they thought it was a foodborne illness, so they were taking all kinds of precautions there. But they did. MLB declined to comment, obviously, because you want to know what the issue is. So it wasn't anything, just some sort of a virus that came about down there, and some people are affected. And from what they said, it was all somebody on each team got it. So that was the case there. I'm going to save the Scott Bohr story for the audio only, which I will probably record on Saturday. So some of this I'm skipping over because we're at about 2 hours now. And I do appreciate those that are listening the whole time. And once again, I do appreciate Rock and Reese for joining me, as well as Captain Ron. And we're going to get to the picks for this weekend. And I need to see if I have my sheet here. If I have everything else here. Yep, there it is. Okay, so let's begin with college football. And we're going to start with a Friday game. And ladies and gentlemen, I am going to pull up my DraftKings page And once again, the only reason why I use DraftKings is because I can share the screen for you. Here we go. And this is part of the reason why I share the screen is I can make this into a segment on YouTube for you guys. Go to YouTube / at the Philly Guy Speaks as well. Here we go. So I'm going to begin with a Friday night game. Now, I've been riding Wyoming a couple of times. I got a nice upset win over Fresno State, and I got blasted out of the building by Boise State. UNLV appears to be the real deal in the conference, and maybe I overestimated Wyoming. Wyoming had a ugly loss there to Boise State. And this is the late game on tomorrow night, Friday night. So you may be looking at a game that ends about 2:30 in the morning. Wyoming can't afford to lose this game. If they lose this game, they're definitely out of the running for the conference, because the way that the conference is set up now, because the NCAA changed everything up, top two teams in the conference play for the title. So it looks like right now it's going to be Fresno or UNLV and Air Force. Air Force is 5-0 in conference after they took a bad loss to Army. And you know, when two military academies play each other, throw the records out the window. But UNLV takes on Wyoming here. And you know, they had a win over Colorado State, Wyoming 24-15 last week. New Mexico blew out New Mexico down in Albuquerque 56-14. But Colorado State has been everybody's thorn in the side. They were a thorn in the side to Colorado when we were still thinking that Colorado was the best thing since sliced bread. Colorado almost beat UNLV in Vegas. They almost beat Wyoming and Laramie. But I think there's something really going on with UNLV that's a good thing. And I am going to take UNLV at -5 at -110. And let's lock that in here. I will go with UNLV with a late Friday night game over Wyoming. Off of the strip there. Then we're going to go to Happy Valley. And I know what you're saying, Joe, I thought you hate Penn State. I do. I hate them with a passion. I'm the type of person where if I had kids and they wanted to go to Penn State, I would disown them. And the reason why is because I have zero tolerance for child molestation, anything like that. I've talked about that many times where I've not been a victim, but I could have been a victim, because I've crossed paths with at least two priests that were, if not convicted, they were accused. So either way, Michigan's a 4.5-point favorite. Michigan has their own set of problems with everything that's going on with the sign stealing scandal and everything. And if there's anything that the NCAA wants, that the Big Ten wants, they don't want this controversy hanging till after Thanksgiving when they play Ohio State. They don't want this hanging beyond that game, in my opinion, because of the fact you have a team here that seems to turn into the bad boy team of college football. Harbaugh wouldn't cooperate with the investigation during the offseason, which led to his 3-game suspension. Now they're sign stealing. Now they're saying other teams are stealing their signs. Now, here's the difference. And I haven't read the whole article, and it confuses me because I don't know who's confusing, who stole Michigan signs. Greg Schiano accused Michigan in a veiled way, and you look back, it's like, oh, he was on to something. So if there's anything that the NCAA, that the Big Ten wants, they want a team to beat Michigan. As much as I do not want Penn State to win, I'm going to say it right now. As much as I don't want Penn State to win, I think Penn State's going to do the Big Ten a solid. They're going to do the NCAA a solid. And I think Penn State upsets Michigan here because you have to begin to wonder how much of all this is going to be a distraction to the players. And in this case, I think that even though the Penn State coach is horrific against top 10 teams, I think this is his time to get a win and break that schneid. And in this case, I am going to take Penn State money line at plus 164. And Penn State will pull off that upset, even though I told you every time I get the chance, I will not be watching that Penn State game. Penn State is banned from my home. Now, if somebody else's home, yeah, I'll watch. Why? Their house, their rules. But in my house, no Penn State. But I will still pick Penn State to win this game on the money line at plus 164. Next, we're going to go with a 3:30 game, and this is the big story that I hinted at here. There you see the James Madison game. James Madison, they're trying to get into the they're trying to get their 2-year transition period eliminated because they have a top 25 team, and they could be the group of 5 team with the best record if they were in the college football playoff standings rankings, which are not because they're in that transition period. But we're going to go out to Iowa. And ladies and gentlemen, your eyes are not deceiving you here. That over-under is correct. That is not a first quarter over-under. That is not a halftime over-under. That is a game total of 28 points. And this is a story from ESPN. The odds makers are going to a new low to get a gauge on defensive-minded Iowa. The over-under total on the game Saturday against Rutgers dipped to a historic low this week at sportsbooks. As of late Thursday morning, and as you see right now, the total sat at a consensus 28, the lowest of any college football game since at least 2000, according to an ESPN Stats and Information Research. Barring any late line movement, Rutgers, Iowa will be the first game with an over-under total of less than 30 in ESPN's odds database. Now, I do want to share one thing here, and I can get rid of this. I have a bad case of diarrhea thing. Because if you saw all the windows, all the tabs I have open, you'd be like, oh my God, just like your ADD brain. I am looking for this here because I do want to share this as well. And this is how inept Iowa is as an offense and is totally an allegedly great team on defense. And let me see if I find this here. Of course, I got to go through about 10 days worth of stuff here. There we go. Okay. And this is from Mac and Cheese Face. I think this was a Reddit story because it looks like it's a Reddit article or a Reddit post. And I'm going to share this briefly and I'll go back to the DraftKings page here. Okay. Iowa defeated Northwestern in Wrigley Field last weekend, 10-7. There were 6 games. There were 6 Cub games where more runs were scored than points between the Cubs and their opponents this year. And I'm going to go from the 6th highest to the highest. Cubs beat the Giants September 5th, 11-8. Pirates beat the Cubs 13-7 on the 20th of September. Cubs won over the Nationals, or should we say the Bears over the Commanders 17-3 on July 18th. The Bears beat the Bengals. The Cubs beat the Reds 16-6 on August 2nd. Cubs beat the Mariners 14-9 on April 11th. And the Cubs brought out the whooping stick and they beat the Reds 20-9 on August 1st. So as you see, there's 6 games that were more runs than total points in Iowa Northwestern last Saturday. Now, everybody is pounding the under here. Now, I'm the type of person that will go against the grain here. And I'm going to do that here as I go back to our pick here. Everybody is picking the under. I think it's like 80% right now. Now, since 2000, there have been 6 games with an over-under of less than 34, and Iowa has been involved in 5 of them. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to go against the grain here. Now, if this were a pari-mutuel thing, I would probably get probably 5-1 odds. But because they adjust, because the way that sports books are, they're trying to counter projected loss and try to make money to get bets on the other side and everything. They're trying to try to make some money, but try to negate the losses that they have in store for them. And sports books are probably going to take a major hit if this goes under. I'm going to go against the grain here only because you got to figure somebody has to score. It'll probably be another 10-7 game on my luck, but why not? I'm going over 28 on that game, Rutgers and Iowa. So that's my 3rd pick. And then the final college game, we're going to go late night. And let's go back to Boise. They gave me a hard time last week. They are taking on New Mexico, who got trounced by UNLV. I don't see much difference here. So I am going to take I'm going to take Boise State here, minus 26.5. It's a ton of points. But you know what? New Mexico is a bad football team. Boise is a much better team at home than they are on the road. And I should have known that when I was going through all my picks a couple weeks ago. And so those are my picks for the pros. So it's minus 26.5 at minus 110. So my college picks. Friday night, UNLV minus 5 at minus 110 over Wyoming. Penn State, I'm going for the upset here, plus 164 over Michigan. Rutgers, Iowa, over 28. Iowa's got to go over sometime. And then Boise State, minus 26.5 at minus 110. And if you have the huevos to pick those 4 games and put them in a parlay, right now it's 1736. I'm not gonna count the parlay towards my stats here, which I never got around to doing. But those are my 4 official picks, the 4 singles. So there we go. So now let's go to the National Football League. And just to give you guys an update here, Ron gave an update here, Captain Ron. And, I wish I wasn't streaming tonight because I would love to see Jason Kelsey in action here on the Amazon set. I mean, from what I can tell, he's holding his own there. Great dude. So, by the way, the Eagles are the second choice for winning the Super Bowl, plus 550. Kansas City is plus 475. We mentioned both those teams because they are playing each other next Monday night. So let's begin with the Germany game. And they got a great game. Well, 2 great teams, Miami and Kansas City. Thought it was going to be a blowout. Kansas City allowed Miami to come back. Well, they're getting the London treatment this game. Indy and New England. And I think that when the NFL did this, they thought, no way New England can be 2-7 at this point. Indy's rebuilding, but, maybe they get, they got a star quarterback that they just drafted and blah, blah, blah. These things happen. But Indy's only a 2-point favorite here. And New England is dog water, as my friend SJ would say. I'm going to take Indy minus 2 at minus 108. Indy, they should. I think Indy will romp on this game because they're horrible. And we'll go with that. Next, we are going to go to Cincinnati. And everybody loves CJ Stroud right now. And right now, he is the anti-Ohio State quarterback in the NFL. He had an amazing comeback against Tampa Bay last week. But Houston is facing a Cincinnati team that is getting going here. We were all worried early in the year. It was just that Joe Burrow needed time to heal up with his this calf injury. And he may have came back a couple of weeks too soon. And, I would have done the same thing. But I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I think Cincinnati is going to take it to Houston early and often. And this is also my survivor pool pick because I am in week 10 for the first time in a long time. And I won SJ's contest, which he had on ESPN. Well, technically I won, but, nobody congratulated me or anything, but, whatever. But, I'm trying to see if I can do all 18 weeks. And, I saving a couple of teams. I wasted a couple of teams that probably could have used in the second half of the year, but hey, it happens. But I think Cincinnati's going to roll on this game here. Give the 6.5. Cincinnati will win by at least 2 touchdowns here. I'll take Cincinnati minus 6.5, also at minus 108. And I gave this away when Rock and Reese was on with me, and you're starting to get into this area of the spread. And I always tell you, when there's a 1-point spread like this, why pay minus 112 for a 1-point spread when you can just go money line for minus 105 for Tennessee here? I'm not playing that game, but if you're interested in taking Tennessee, why go here and spend $12 and 12% on a VIG when you can just go with the 5% VIG outright? Because the worst thing you can do on here is Tampa Bay wins by 1 and you push. But if you win the game, which this is telling you Tennessee, in my opinion, that's telling you Tennessee is going to win. Why go there when you can go to minus 105 and have less of a VIG on that? A VIG is the percentage of what they take out of that wager. So, but that's not a game I'm picking. You're starting to get into the area where a team can lose by 2, and if they have a 3-point spread, they're going to win. You're going to win. But I'm not doing that. Maybe it's just because the Jets laid an egg. Maybe it's because the MILF hunter, Zach Wilson, went back to last year's Zach Wilson. Maybe that's the case. But maybe you can just say, when they got that punt return for a touchdown that near the end of the first quarter, that was the knockout punch for the game. I think that may be something that gets the LA Chargers back on track. Now, they're probably not going to catch Kansas City in the standings, and that's fine. Sometimes you need to, sometimes it's good just to get in as a wild card. We talked about Detroit, how they have a fairly soft schedule. But I think this is a game that's going to be a hiccup for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take the Chargers on the money line at plus 130. I really like the Chargers to win this outright Sunday. So LA Chargers money line plus 130. Next, we kind of talked this as well. And I usually avoid the large lines unless I'm really thinking this will be a blowout. Now, like I said, if Danny Dimes was the guy under center Sunday, I think that they have a bit of revenge on their mind. I think the Giants are they may even be in tank mode, but I don't think it's necessarily a tank mode because they're just trying to get the first pick. I think they're now in tank mode because Danny Dimes is out for the year. Tyrod Taylor's out for this game. Tony DeVito, or whatever his name is, I call him Danny DeVito. He's starting this week. He's not going to know what hit him with the Dallas defense, even though the Eagles did get 28 points off the Cowboys. I think this is a perfect game for the Cowboys. It won't be 40-0, but they will cover that 17 points. So maybe like 35-7 or something like that. So it's a ton of points, but give the 17 points here. Dallas should win this easily. So minus 17 at minus 108. And here we have that situation again I was mentioning with Tennessee and Tampa Bay. Now, the one thing I will say here is if you think the Jets are going to win this game, why go money line minus 118 when you can go -1 at minus 112? because you'll get a little more money out of this because it's a 12% vig versus an 18% vig. Or if you're looking to bet the Raiders, why bet +1 at -108 when you can go money line 102? And that's what I'm going to do here, because I think having Josh McDaniel gone and Antonio Pierce bringing in a breath of fresh air into the Vegas locker room, you could see that they were celebrating the win. Maybe they were celebrating a little too hard, but it's when you have such a horrific year, you tuned out the coach, and you realize how horrible he was as a head coach for the second time. I think it's a breath of fresh air for them. Now they're obviously probably not going anywhere, but they can actually they can probably do some damage and play some spoiler roles here over the remaining 9 weeks of the season. Vegas still has a whole bunch of issues, but I think here this will probably fall into the under 37 category, but I think Las Vegas will win this game outright. So I'm going to take Vegas -102. Remember, why take the +1 at -108 when you got the money line at -102? Why pay 8% for a win when you can pay 2? So my picks for the NFL for this weekend: the Colts -2 at -108, the Bengals -6.5 at -108, Chargers on the money line +130, Dallas -17 at -108, and the LA Raiders money line -102. And I do want to thank everybody for joining me tonight, whether it's live, Captain Ron and Rock and Reese both knocked. Thank you so much. And thank you for the kind words from both of you guys tonight. Thank you for everybody that's going to be listening after the fact. I do have if you're listening on the podcast, I did have to edit a couple minutes out because stupid me had the microphone off, had it muted again. So I will give myself one of those for that. And, it is what it is. So that's going to be it for me. Be on the lookout for a couple of articles on bleacherbrothers.com from yours truly. I have one for Saturday. I don't know if that was why AJ called me. I don't know if it was a butt dial, whatever it was. I'm going to try to do something different with that and, get some things out there because, like I said, I don't want to be necessarily the gambling guy. I may occasionally talk Philly sports. I may talk something other, op-ed pieces of, how we can change rules in sports and stuff like that. And, and like that story I had about Cody's wish as well. But, be on the lookout. There is an article for the race at Aqueduct on Saturday, the Red Smith Stakes going 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf, and it should be on the turf. I don't, it was raining a little bit here in Philly, but it's been bone dry here on the East Coast the last week or so. So I think you're going to be able to get those. You'll get near optimal conditions at Aqueduct, and I just want to take a peek here. They don't have the race up for Sunday yet, so I don't know what they're doing there. I think they're trying to go with Del Mar. Yeah, so I don't have anything up here for Sunday yet, but whenever they post it, I'll be handicapping it quickly while I work probably, just so I can have it ready to go for AJ, so be ready to go as soon as possible. So keep an eye on bleacherbrothers.com. That's a new thing I'm going to do. like a race of the day type of thing. I'm going to let Sporty Kings, which is the site that I finished 23rd on in their national handicapping contest qualifier. I'm going to have that on there. Do a race a day. It's all in good fun. And just remember, you're not paying for the tip. It's just a little fun exercise, and see if we can get some winners across, and see if I can sharpen my horse racing skills as well. So be on the lookout for that, and be on the lookout. And I said it the last couple of weeks, and things happen from time to time. I get distracted and all that, but be on the lookout for an audio only. I haven't done one of them in a while, and just get back on the things. I have a couple of stories that I didn't talk about tonight because this is already going on 2.5 hours. So I do want to thank everybody who took the time to listen, took the time to watch after the fact, and also those that watch live. Can't do it without you, and I do this for fun. This is my, like I said on Tuesday night, this is a way for me to have some fun after a long day of work, and do appreciate everybody who takes the time. And if you ever need help from somebody, don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes it's the person you least expect that's going to help you. So always keep that in the back of your head if you're not feeling yourself out there. So that's it for now. Do appreciate everybody. Check out Bleacher Brothers for everything. Check out No Filter as well. There's so many different shows on there, and with me talking for 2.5 hours now, my brain's fried. But anyways, thank you everybody for joining me here on NoFilter.net, and I will see you Tuesday night here on No Filter for another edition of Philly Guy Speaks podcast, part of the Bleacher Brothers Network. Good night, everybody.